Hey, I'm Steven with Thundermax. Today we're going to be installing the all-new iRIDE active suspension for 14-layer touring bikes. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and pull the saddlebags, the side covers, seat off. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I like to start from the front and work my way back. So next thing I'm going to do is pull this fairing off. And to pull the fairing off, we're going to need a T27 Torx bit. So you've got windshield out. Forward, pull it off just a hair, unplug your headlight, and then slide it right on out. All right, the next thing we got to do is we got to loosen up, take this switch cover off, and it's going to take 5/32 Allen. It's just 2 bolts on each side. So I got my bolts out. I'm just going to pull this down, and this is so we can get our harness in. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the command center here. So I'm wanting to zip tie switch mount so I don't have to mess with it. It'll stay here. I'll pull 2 bolts out right here. So in these bolts we're going to discard, but we're going to keep the washers because we got longer bolts. So we got longer bolts, just all the washers. The wire goes over top of the handlebars. Okay, now we're going to run the wire, this is the tricky part here. All right, you can see this one's got the JRI drop-in cartridge, which is the end cap's a little bit thicker than the stock. So this one may be a little bit more difficult, but what we want to do is fish our wire through here. And the clutch wire is right away. So I've got it fished through. I'm gonna pull it through here, give me plenty of slack. Take the slack out. Here. So the next thing I'm gonna do is we've got the connector for the left-hand control module, and this one's the one we're going to tap into. You can determine it between the right hand because the right hand's got the kill switch here, but I'm needing to get it out of this caddy, so I'm gonna pull this caddy out, drop it down so I can slide that connector out. So you got 2 screws on each side of plastic. And you got one over here. Caddy should just pop right out like so. So now we got the caddy out. Need to unplug the left-hand control module. Slide the connector out here. And I'm gonna cut this zip tie. Little route connector under here. Now we're going to zip tie that back on there and install the caddy. So I'm going to re-zip tie our connector here. Harness. And reinstall the caddy. Okay, so now we're going to hook up our command center on our line here and here. So now I'm going to find a nice home for it. Right here, we're going to zip tie it here. Go right here. And then we're going to just get the excessive wire out of the way, zip tie it, or however you see fit. Just make sure it's out of the way of everything, not going to hit on anything. But it's long just so in case you have long handlebars, there's plenty of room. is good. And install our switch cover. And one thing I always like to do before I button everything up is turn it on, make sure I got power, make sure I didn't mess up any of my connectors. So we got power, so we're good, so we can put our fairing back on. Get our switch cover installed. Now it's time to put the fairing back on. The headlight back in. I like to put the top screw in, just hold it in. And then go ahead and put the windshield. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is pull the maxi fuse. But if it's got alarm system, we're going to turn the ignition on and then pull the maxi fuse, because we're going to pull the BCM out of its caddy here. So now I'm going to lift up here and work the BCM caddy out. BCM out of this caddy. I'm just going to let it down right here. So we'll keep the maxi fuse in and everything. It's going to say tip on the speedo, and the flasher is going to go off. So we got our fuse out and everything. So now we got to pull the ECM caddy. So I'm going to pop the ECM out. Boom. I'm going to pop here, here, here. We want to take our, we got the Thundermax on. So we got to take our O2 sensors out. So everything's got to be unplugged. Still not sure what that is. Siren, or the antenna. I'll unplug here, here. All right, so there's a little locking tab on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but if you pry down on it, this one should slide right out. Same for here. Pry down, slide out. Now we gotta get our light module out of the way. And I've got 2 bolts here and here. ECM caddy slides forward and up, and this out of the way so we can get access to our battery and run our main harness. We got relay, fuse block, we got data link, we got power, ground, connects to the module and the compressor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take module connector and compressor and run it right through here where we pulled our VCM out. Through here. Bring it through this side. Let's see if I run the power and ground through this side. Ground. Power. So we're going to ground to keep from having the terminals on the battery. There's a ground strap right here. So we're going to take that off, and that's where we're going to hit our ground. And then the power is going to go on the battery side. So now I'm going to pull this shock off. So we got the other shock on the other side, so it's supporting the box. So I can go ahead and pull this one off. Break it loose here. All right, so now I got my wires run. I got them zip tied up, everything. So now I'm going to install my control module. Now we offer blue Loctite in your kit, so I suggest Loctiting these bolts and of course your shock bolts. I'm not going to do it in the video because it's coming right back off. So first I'm going to go ahead and install my air line. So this is the longer one. This is going into your air spring. That way we don't have to mess with it when I get it bolted up. So I can go ahead and get my connector on. just right in there like so. And now we can mount our shock. So here's our mounting hardware. Like I said, apply Loctite. You have the spacers. Of course, the iRIDE is going to face out. The spacer is going to go in the back. And the one with the small screw to clamp it on goes on the bottom. Report the specs, which 63 to 70 foot-pounds. Now I'm gonna bolt in my hot rod. This is a 5/16, a little ratchet and wrench works well. Now, so we've got our airline. Install our airline here and verify the length of it. Make sure it snaps in. So one thing you don't want to happen, you don't want it riding on your air spring here to rub. So verify the length of it, make sure that's good. Make sure you got plenty of room there. And now we can install our compressor. So different mufflers will have different length bolts, so you'll have to verify that the bolts, you got the right length. I'm not going to tighten them all the way down yet because I need to make sure I got plenty of room here so my compressor doesn't hit this truck bracket here. So I'm looking here, make sure you're not hitting right there before we tighten it down. So now I'm going to go ahead and snug it all the way down. Now we can install our airline. Once again, you'll feel it snap. And verify the length of that. Make sure that you don't have too much, too tight or anything, because you're going to have a little bit of vibration. Now we just plug it in. And we're going to run this under here. Tuck it in down there. Fine. Fix this. And then I'm going to zip tie it here or wherever you think is a good spot to put it. Okay. So now we're going to put the VCM back in. So I've got my wires run here. It's going to lay right down beside the VCM wires. Put that in. So we need to get a data link. This supplies power and CAN messages. There we go. And this is going to tuck in here. Like so. Out of the way. I'll put the ECM caddy back in. There we go. There we go. So, 2 bolts. Connectors back in. ECM. Always make sure they latch. Push up on them, make sure it latches. In, slashed in there. nice and tight. So now I can put my maxi fuse back in. So install the maxi fuse. Powers everything up. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the quick switch off. Now we're ready to install the shock. So I'm gonna break this shock loose. Don't take it all the way off yet because we got tension on it. So now we're going to use our air spring to raise the bike up so we can take this tension off our shock. I can do this in accessory mode so I'm not burning the headlight. So here, I'm going to go to my main iRIDE settings, coilover setup. I'm going to hit raise and it's going to tell me the vehicle's going to move. You sure you want to do this? Yes, of course. So I'll start raising. And what I'm going to do, start watching my shock so I get played. So this is what you want. You see there's no pressure on it now, so now we can go ahead and remove our shock all the way. So the JRI comes with new bolts. All right, if you want, you can reuse the old washers. And we've got to put our zip tie off and holding our spacers in. So we'll add a little bit of Loctite and bolts. Install it. See the JRI, the iRIDE is facing out. Okay, so the JRI shock is going to be a little bit longer than your stock shock, so we're going to have to lift the motorcycle back up. Now, we'll tighten it down, torque it to spec. So now we have the iRIDE installed. We just need to put the covers and saddlebags and seat back on. We'll be done. So that's the basic install video. It took us a little less than an hour to actually do the install. Our next video will be on setting up the coilover and your command center.